We lose it or what? They got it?
No,
it's
so
just that much room there.
in the sun, Simon.
Oh. Good day, Al. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Thanks, sir. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the January 25th meeting number 103 of the Eastern Regional Service Board. Good to have you all here. Thank you all for coming out. And welcome to Charles Moore from the MMSB. Thanks for coming again. We appreciate your attendance. So we'll go through the agenda here tonight and hopefully have some good discussion on some of the items here and we'll move this along. So with that, I'll make a call to order and the adoption of the agenda. Oh, sure. Good. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Be carried. Review of the minutes of the meeting from November the 30th, 2022. Any errors or omissions in the minutes? I'll give you all a second to have a quick look. Excellent. Any questions or amendments or comments? Hearing none, be resolved that the minutes of the meeting of November the 30th, 2022 be adopted as table. So, Nathan, second by here. Wesley, all those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Thank you very much. Next, we'll go right into committee reports. The first up tonight is the Finance and Audit Committee, Councillor Hickman from the City of St. John, committee chair, and you shall deliver the report, sir.
Chair meeting 97, January 12th. Item 4A1, the board extended the board check register payroll summary for November and December. We're table for review at this meeting, and we went through no issues or concerns about it. But does anybody on the board have any questions for that? If not, I'll move that the board adopt the expenditures of the months of November, December 2022 as tabled.
Moved by Councillor Hickman, second by. Oh, that's right. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried.
4A2, corporate towns payment activity report dated January 6th. And that reviewed, and staff were very pleased with this month's report. And any of no questions or concerns. Any questions from any board members?
Can the people on Zoom hear us? Yeah, I'm good. Okay.
Yep. I'm gonna have First Street probably so great.
Okay.
4A3 employee benefits renewal. And there's a brief there for your review. Staff highlighted a slight increase in health and death premiums. With this being the first increase since 2020. It was recommended the board renew the employee group benefits policy again this year. Anybody have any concerns with that? Okay. I'll move that the board renew the provision of group benefits with Jenkins Anthony for Metabolic Leave Cross effective January 1st, 2023.
Moved by Councillor Hickman, second by. Delia. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Carried.
4A4, award of Southwest Avalon and Essentia Bay Area Waste Services Tender. And there's a briefing note there for your review. His contract will expire May 31st of this year. Staff are recommending that the board award the 36-month contract beginning June 1st to the lowest bidder T2 Ventures Inc. Here's everyone. Okay. Be resolved that the board award the contract for waste collection and transportation for Southwest Avalon and the Central Bay Area beginning June 1st, 2023 for 36 months in the amount of $708,630, including HST to T2 Ventures Inc.
Moved by Councillor Hickman, second by. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Carried.
4A5, award of business and Southwest Arm Southwest Services tender. And a brief note there for you. Staff reminded members that the waste services contract against the Southwest South areas will expire April 30th this year. Staff are recommending that the board award 36-month contract beginning May 1st, 2023 to lowest bidder T2 Ventures Inc. And I will read out the motion. Be resolved, the board award the contract for waste collection and transportation for instance in Southwest South beginning May 1st, 2023 for 36 months in the amount of $1,524,900 to the HST to T2 Ventures Inc.
Moved by Councilor Hickman, second by. There we go. Any discussion on that? Craig, how many quotes, how many bids do we get in on these contracts? Like, I don't know.
So for the isthmus, we received 3. For the Southwest Avalon, we received 1, I believe, was the thing, yeah,
Yes.
1, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried, thank you.
4A6 extension of Carpenter Area Waste Service Contract. Staff will complete the waste service contract. The Carpenter area will expire June 30th, 2023. Staff are recommending the board exercise the option to continue to issue the second and last 1-year extension to this contract beginning July 1st, the current contract. So be resolved, the board issue a 1-year extension for waste collection services for the Carpenter area contract beginning July 1st, 2023.
Moved by Councilor Hickman, second by. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried, thank you.
4A7 extension of Smith Sanitary Waste Service contract. And this expires April 30th in this case. Staff are recommending that the board issue a 1-year extension to this contract beginning May 1st, 2023. The contract provides for 2 possible 1-year extensions. This is the first extension. It is in the best interest of the board to extend the contract as insurance price for another year. So I'll make the motion. No concerns? Be resolved that the board issue a 1-year extension for waste collection services for the Sound and area contract beginning May 1st, 2023.
Moved by Councilor Hickman, second by. Mr. John. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried.
4A8 extension of Trinity Conception North waste service contract. So nice to see you again. Staff report committee, the waste service contract for Trinity Conception North expiring March 31st. Staff are recommending that the board issue a 1-year extension to this contract beginning April 1st, 2023. This contract as well is 2 possible 1-year extensions. And none of these have been used yet. It's in the best interest of the board to extend the contract to ensure price for another year. So be it resolved that the board issue a 1-year extension for waste collection services for the Trinity Conception North contract beginning April 1st, 2023.
Moved by Councilor Hickman, second by. Yes, sir.
Like what reason for extending those contracts? Not enough time or
Maintain price. There's loads of time. We receive about what, 4 to 6 months in advance of the contract expiring, contacts the communities and the contractor to see if they're in agreement with an extension. And if they are, we go that route because it guarantees the price for another year. If the contractor or say the majority of towns are not interested in extending, we then go to tender. Or after all extensions have been exercised, we would then go to tender. And there's 2 1-year extensions on every one of our contracts possible. Yeah.
The price is very favorable, so we can.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Contrary? Carried, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Hickman. Stellar work as usual.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Strategy and Policy Committee. Councilor Tilly is unavailable tonight. He's out in the province. So this evening, we will have Councilor Jamie Corab report. Jamie, you're on the floor, sir.
Thank you. Just confirm you can hear me okay?
You're good, sir.
Perfect. Yep. My pleasure to bring this on behalf of Councillor Jartilli. So this is agenda item 4B1, Household Hazardous Waste Program, replacing the $1,000 stipend with a gift card for participating communities. So a briefing note is included in tonight's meetings package. Each year, the board tenders for approximately 15 to 20 mobile HHW collection events to be held throughout the Eastern region with the support of local volunteer fire departments. For 2023, the board has budgeted $87,228 for this program. Historically, the board provides a $1,000 stipend to the participating fire departments for their assistance. It was suggested that the board may want to consider providing a gift of similar value to the hosting communities that will represent the board by using our logo and provide legacy for the program. Staff and members felt that this change would not significantly impact the program or the number of participating fire departments. Suggested gifts included items such as recycling bins and or garbage bins for the community, park benches, sponsor a community cleanup event by providing all necessary supplies such as garbage bags with the board's logo, gloves, t-shirts, and logos, or gift cards that snacks and refreshments can be included, etc. There are suggestions. These are just some of the suggestions. So if you have any ideas, please pass them along to the CAO. The committee agreed that the partnering communities and the fire departments should be notified of this change prior to scheduling for the 2023 event. So the motion which I will move is be it resolved that the board discontinue the $1,000 stipend paid to participating fire departments for their assistance with the HHW programming. For the fire department's participation and cooperation, a gift of similar value will be made to the community.
Moved by Councilor Corab, second by Kevin McDonald. Any discussion on that before I move this on?
Just a quick question on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's got, I hate being called a gift. The gift doesn't stop there, but yeah,
Yeah.
you do this. All right, and stipend is great, but is there any way, like, I think these are all great suggestions. Was there any way we can, instead of giving them $1,000 for stipend, to encourage more household rate hazardous waste, advertise that more in the community to get more picked up? Sure. I mean, I don't think the fire departments are looking for $1,000 on all these, but if we can encourage more people to drop off hazardous waste, it may be beneficial for the whole province.
Absolutely, that's a great idea. Is that all you, Christie's? Yeah, sure. So I think we do some promotion and advertising in the local, I'm assuming papers and then radio. I don't know how we do it, but
And now with communications person on staff,
Yeah.
where we've already started some public, some brochure. Yes, brochure is the right word, but I don't know if you've seen our recent information around bulk and recycling. It'll be a similar format to that. I've already got it on my desk, and so there's going to be additional material circulated around those events.
Well, see, if we're gonna spend $1,000, we have to spend $2,000, we can get more hazardous waste out of our landfills, so where we're putting it would be better spent. Than planting, we're planting trees anyhow, but this is making it better.
Right. Before the pandemic, when there were a lot of local newspapers, we always also included those.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not an option anymore. So the communications coordinator is looking at as many avenues as we can.
Well, my understanding, Christie, is that $1,000 stipend or gift is only part of it. There's actually a harder cost on these HHS. They're significant.
Yeah, so that stipend to the fire department is for their staff for participating. We also have to tender out the collections of it, and we also have staff tied up for 3 to 4 days, plus all of our vehicles tied up with these events in addition to that.
There's $90,000 budgeted for.
Right.
So, yeah, so a lot of that money goes that way. So each event we estimated was around
4,500 to 5,000.
And how much?
And that just includes the tender costs to have a special waste hauler take materials away. And what we give the fire departments, it does not include our own equipment, labor, and paid out to our own staff. And there's overtime incurred because these collections happen on a Saturday.
Are we getting more every year?
Mm-hmm.
We have seen some increases in numbers, but we've seen decreases in some areas as well.
So part of the reason for part of the supposed reason for decreases is that early on in this program, because this program's been around for 10 years or more, paint drop-offs weren't as available. And now they are. So we have seen a great decrease in the amount of paint that comes to these.
No, in the city, like, we're always hearing, people are always calling us, like, what can we drop off for hazardous waste? And most of the city, we can advertise, we can tell people that, but the smaller communities don't have that.
Right,
So we can advertise that a little bit, instead of using that $1,000. We can spend that money better.
right, yeah, we definitely have some materials in production for promoting and identifying materials as well. But I can certainly be happy to share it with you before it goes out.
No, let's all go along with the board. I mean, I just think some way we can increase the hazardous waste as much as we
Sure.
possibly can. People are still taking hazardous waste and throwing it in the garbage.
Yeah,
And,
unfortunately.
That's, we gotta stop that somehow.
Well, we have a good friend in the MMSP here. tonight,
Yeah, that's
so
what I was trying to, maybe he can have us an extra $1,000 or something.
Well, at the end of our regular business, we'll go around the table. Debbie, maybe he'll have a few words to say about it. Go ahead there, Willie.
I see it's one day here for our fire department. Is it something that the board would consider, having a area at the waste sites for hazardous material that they could pick up once or twice every couple of months?
We hazardous waste have really strict regulations, guidelines around
So
the collection, how it's stored. If you go to the HHW depot at St. John's, you'll see it goes in bins.
Yeah.
And it has to be handled by trained professionals. So our site attendants are not trained
No.
to handle this material.
it's just too bad it's just one day of the year.
It's a very expensive program to run because of the need to have trained professionals and special waste dollars involved. But that again is an indication, I guess, of the types of materials that's collected, i.e. solvents, batteries and things like that. So it's nasty stuff.
We just have to save it up for the.
The HHW depot at Robin Hood Bay is open 2 days a week for anybody who's in the city. Every Wednesday, every Saturday from 8 AM to 4 PM. HHW can be properly disposed of there.
It's no good to us
By anyone.
Well, I would venture to guess that people from the rural areas are in the city on a regular basis.
unless they're driving in.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a timely business. And
Yeah.
part of our mandate, so we gotta figure out a way to do it well. And that's why we're sort of tweaking some of the programming, you should say. Wes?
Yeah, couple comments. I understand the reason behind the move away from just providing a stipend to the fire department. But I think that one of the challenges I think in terms of the program is what happens to the money. And I think that if you want to encourage this program, I would rather see the money going to the fire department to reimburse the fire department for either a piece of firefighting equipment or fire prevention, say like fire extinguishers or something like that. So in other words, encourage the actual role of the fire department rather than doing something in terms of communities. I'll give you an example. Where we are, there are 14 communities that are and there are 2 fire departments that provide fire services to these 14 communities. Now, what communities would we give this or reimburse a town? I don't think that's going to encourage the fire department's activity in the program. Whereas if we said we'll provide $1,000 to the fire department to reimburse, as I say, for some specific piece of equipment or hoses or firefighting equipment, whatever. So I'm thinking that a better way to do would be to reword the policy and attach some deliverables to the policy. And so I would suggest we defer this evening. I'm prepared to work with either the committee and or the staff to develop a policy that I think is more in keeping with what the real intent is of this.
Also, keep in mind that in one of my community, most communities outside St. John's as volunteer firemen. And
Yeah.
we can't order them to what to do with materials or so and so. Because they are volunteer.
Most of the fire departments that participate in this program are volunteer fire departments. It's not the urban area.
Did you much participation in fire department?
Yes, we do.
Hmm.
We started out with this program initially running 25 to 30 events. At this point, 15 events to 17 events cost us the same as those 25 to 30 used to cost us 5-6 years ago. But yeah, the fire departments we rotated through, to be fair, because there's 59, I believe, fire departments in the overall eastern region. And so we try and rotate them through the fire departments to be fair to all of them. So they have an opportunity to participate if they want. Not all fire departments want to participate. There's not a lot, but we've had some that said they didn't want to participate. We've had some who did want to participate and didn't show up on the day of the event. So we've had it work both ways.
This goes right back to almost what I just said, you know. If they don't want to participate, what's happening to that hazardous waste? You know, that's what we have to think about. It's part of our group, but that's what we're trying to help out, and that's what we're here for. But that hazardous waste is not being collected. You know where it's going. So we got to try to figure out if we got to spend $1,000 to the fire department and something else, maybe we can find some other way to get it more fun. To increase more people to drop on hazardous waste.
But if we can, with the LSDs or municipalities, if to receive this money, they're required to follow policy that we said, then I think we'd get to participation, because I think the fire department are very, very interested in this program, these people that I talked.
I think most people want to drop off.
Yeah.
I think most people don't know what to do with it, and if they knew what to do with it, if we advertised or did something, people want to get rid of it.
And I think it's a great initiative for the ERSB. It increased our profile in a very positive way.
We've been running the program for 10 years, and there is an agreement that all participating fire departments sign each year. So there, it doesn't mention, there is an agreement about what their expectations are and what we expect for the program or what is required. It's not only that they show up. The $1,000, by the way, is for a 4-hour event that runs from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on a Saturday. And they also have to have an area where they can safely store that material until our contractor can get there to collect it. So that's, I guess, the requirements of the program for $1,000.
So there was a request from West to defer this back to committee, so I'll ask the committee if you're okay with deferring it back to sort of retweak the language to it, or do you prefer we have a motion to, I guess, Mr. Chair of the committee, Jamie, you're chairing this committee, would you be okay with referring this back to committee for further discussion, or would you prefer to proceed with a vote on the
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I can take a poll of the board if you want, but what's suggested in the deferral is basically do what we're doing now, do what we're already doing. So if the idea was to get a little more community involvement and whatnot, then, the current motion, I think, would move forward. But, it seems like what's suggested is keep the $1,000, just change the wording. So we're not really doing anything different if we go with the deferral and rework the wording that way. So we're basically saying that the deferral is basically status quo. Would it not be?
No, that's certainly not my intent. My intent would be to tighten up the policy so that there would be a deliverable, a very specific deliverable, and would only reimburse the fire department for something that's substantially in keeping with what the intent is. Right now, there's really no control. And then the second thing would be that if we give a town $1,000 that they're going to plant trees or something, that's not, I think, in the interest of our organization in terms of the fire area, firefighting and fire control area.
Okay, quick show of hands who would prefer we defer. And then I'll go from there. If we don't get a mandate there, we'll go back. Sorry, Art? You're voting to defer. Let's show of hands voting to defer. Can you hold your hands up quicker, because I can't see Rod's got his hand up, okay? So, it looks like it's four. Okay, we will refer this back to committee. For the motion, so we'll defer that motion till our next meeting. Thanks, Jamie, you can carry on with that.
Yeah, not a problem. And just to be clear, there's nowhere in here that mentioned planting trees, but just anyway, we'll move on. All right, number 4B2, permanent closure of Sunnyside Waste Recovery Facility. Briefing note is included in tonight's meeting package. Considering the low visitation rates, cost of operation, annual winter closure, and proximity to other waste recovery facilities, discussion took place regarding the permanent closure of this facility. It was suggested that the savings could be distributed to the remaining facilities to make them better. The committee determined that a full cost analysis should be complete before any recommendations may be made to the board. In addition, notification and discussion with the appropriate government departments is required in accordance with our certificate of approval to operate these sites. So I'll open the floor to any questions for this. There's no motion here. It's just up for questions now and how we want to move forward.
Chair, I wonder if we roll number 2 and number 3 together there for this discussion, so it'll be.
Yeah, yeah, no, makes sense. I'll read it out. It's basically the same wording, but just so we're clear, it's agenda item 4B3, permanent closure of the Bell Island Waste Recovery Facility. Similar type of things with low visitation, cost of operation repairs, the annual winter closure, proximity to other landfill, residential drop-off facility. The same discussion took place if there could be cost savings that could be put into other facilities. So again, the committee wanted to do a full cost analysis. This should be completed and recommendation to the board, and as well, obviously discussed with the other government departments. So for both of these, which to be clear is the Bell Island Waste Recovery Facility and the Summerside Waste Recovery Facility, I open up to any questions to the staff.
Yeah, Sunnyside makes a lot of sense. Bill, didn't we just spend a lot of money building that thing? Yeah.
Probably did.
Probably so, yes. So would we have to get their approval about this, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, but if it's, so practically it's not of any value, they, Christie, you just don't see
So I
that.
actually was writing my report, my annual report for the province today, and 630 visits to Bell Island last year.
In total.
And what would be normal, say, to Harbor Grace or?
That's a Saturday in August.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a light Saturday in August.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we confident in their collection over there? Or do we collect? No.
No.
We don't do anything else other than.
They do their own collection. Okay, well, there's a lot of factors, I think.
It's a heavy cost, because we basically have to go over and keep the place maintained and, I don't pick up whatever's over there.
I'm not just concerned about the garbage, so, Bill.
Yeah, they have their own infrastructure, picking up their own, they have their own contracts. So,
They direct haul from the day.
So we don't, we're happy.
Here has the affected towns been already notified, so have you got the feedback from those towns, any resistance or anything?
Well, this is just a preliminary discussion. Yeah.
On the agenda, I think last week, though.
It was, and the committee said they wanted more, they tasked the staff with a full cost analysis to, of course, I guess the members wanted to have actual costs, actual data of users before you can make a decision. It is a big decision to make, and the certificate of approval to operate these facilities clearly states that decommissioning has to be approved by the minister's office as well.
Yeah.
So, we'll get the data together, bring it back to committee, and then we'll also.
Thirty had Bill on the heavy decision, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously.
it is, but again, it's costing a lot of money for very.
Oh, I know that.
And are you better off taking that money and putting it into one of the facilities, like Babel,
Oh, absolutely.
Quickburn, or Harbor Grace, I think it's a lot of use, and you're better off staffing them up and opening up their hours to more hours so that people can actually use them.
Yeah, but Bell is odd, and so
Unique, right?
it's totally unique, and we thought we were doing a great thing, upgrading the place.
Yeah.
That didn't work, obviously.
No, the cost, even just the security and maintenance of the building, of the facilities, we put up a chain link fence, it's cut down, we put up a lock, we cut it off, we, put up a wall, tear it down, so.
Well, I think, keep that town on this year. Well,
We'll be part of
I think that's a important step.
No, we'll go through all the different steps and meet with the mayors and the LSD over there and,
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
go ahead, sir.
My comments were going to be very similar to Sandy's. Bell Island is an island. It's one thing to get the information together for purposes of discussion tonight, another thing to make a decision to close a facility on an island without consulting with those communities.
Oh, yeah, no, we do.
Just as the provide information, I haven't asked this, have you had any trouble with Burnside at all?
No, we don't typically have issues there with ongoing vandalism or anything like that.
We don't have vandalism. Unfortunately, I believe at all of our sites, we have scavenging after hours. But sometimes, the saying location, the ERSB being so close and so agreeable and lovely to work with in that location are definitely an asset.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you.
Anybody else or any? We will ask staff to continue to work and we will at some point in time, once they get their numbers put together and data, reach out to the various communities and consult with them as well. Get their opinions out. And you'll see it on a future agenda, I'm sure. Okay, Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just one quick thing, chair of the meeting, chair of the committee. I don't want to pigeonhole us into an actual timing on when we're going to have this done, but if you're a resident in Bell Island or Sunnyside, you might have some concerns about when it's happening. Any rough timeline, and I mean, it could be anywhere from 2 months to 10 months that we'd be looking at bringing something back to the committee for a decision?
Not really, no.
They're
both closed for winter right now, so they're open
Yep.
back up
April 1st.
April 1st.
Yeah.
So it would probably be a good, good to have some indication by April 1st, I'm assuming.
Yeah, oh, makes sense.
We'll probably use that as a target date to get back to board.
Perfect. Alrighty, last item. This group is agenda item 4B4. Exemption policy notification of policy review reinstatement. So the committee began to review the board's exemption policy for waste service in 2020. However, the decision to put the review on hold was made due to the pandemic and the requirement for further information and research. As there is a need to update the policy, the committee will once again begin to review to ensure it is in line with legislation and the intent of the board. Past practices, qualifications, and suggestions are being reviewed. Once a draft policy statement has been completed, it will be brought forward to the board's consideration and adoption. Are there any questions on the exemption policy for staff?
No, sorry, I'm there. Good.
All right, that's it for me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your time. Next up, we have the governance committee and the deputy mayor, Kevin McDonald, the committee chair. Kevin, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The meeting 82 was held today, just before this meeting, so it's kind of fresh. We go to agenda item 4C1, meeting management software. Move it from eScribe to Onboard. A brief note is included in tonight's meeting package. The board initially acquired eScribe meeting and management software early in 2018 to conduct paperless meetings, increase security of information, improve collaboration, provide quick access to meeting information, and to simplify note taking. While eScribe has been very good, it's better suited for large municipalities. Software provided with demonstration of onboard meeting software, which is targeted at smaller boards rather than municipalities. Onboard is the parent company of eScribe. It was determined that while the software is similar and has many of the same functionalities, it appears that Onboard is much more user-friendly and easier to implement. For those reasons, the committee is recommending that the board terminate the subscription for eScribe and switch over to Onboard. The annual Onboard cost is about the same as eScribe. So it's just a better software package, a little more user-friendly. I think some of us here, we did use Onboard before, right? Or eScribe. eScribe. And it was pretty good at the time. But if it's a better software, why not? Any questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what quantifies the one being better than the other, because of course, in the city, we use eScribe, and I understand that it's, better suited for larger municipalities, but just wondering what exactly, if you can just define what the difference is between the two.
I will try, and if I miss anything, Craig will jump in, because we've done quite a bit of research on this.
Okay.
eScribe is a fabulous software. It is one of the premier meeting software packages that you can get. But it is designed and best used for large municipalities with multiple departments. Whereas Onboard was designed strictly for boards of directors. So it tends to be a much smaller user-friendly piece of software. And for our needs, I think it's sufficient. Craig, I don't know if you have anything to add to that?
Just like eScribe, Onboard is bought eScribe, so it's, the software is similar, but it's, eScribe's a big program. And, the capabilities, we just weren't using all, or we're going to use the capabilities that it has. And, it's not exactly user friendly, people behind the scenes that are doing stuff with it. So it was tough for us to get it installed. Each time somebody did the board changes, it was about one for people who would change everything. But the onboard market demo that we had, it's just much easier to do, and more responsive to our needs.
Okay, so it's more about ease than obviously cost. You say it's comparable in terms of cost?
Some of the advantage, yes.
Yeah.
So it's
easy to use.
Okay,
Very good.
okay, thanks.
So, Kevin, there was some, so we guess we're going to look and see if it's compatible with some of the devices belonging to some of the municipalities. Kevin, in there.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the concerns was that if you hit this on the laptop or the iPad that the town gives you, the city gives you,
Yeah.
can you do that? And I think we're gonna sort that, find that out. Any other questions? Okay, I'd like to make the motion, be it resolved that the board terminates the program subscription with eScribe for meeting management software.
Moved by Kevin, second by Darren, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Carried.
The next one would, I'd like to make the motion, be it resolved that the board accepts the offer from Onboard for meeting management software for the amount of $12,500 recurring each year plus HST.
I'm gonna ask that we defer this one because until we hear back from the various municipalities that have tablets or laptops, we know that they're actually compatible with those devices, so we can move that one, Mr. Chair, to your next meeting. I appreciate that.
Sounds good.
Is everybody okay with that? Until we get the notification back.
Should we send something out to the different municipalities telling them what we're going to be doing? Or like, if we just leave it up to our own municipalities to say yes or no?
I guess each member of the board here can go to their various
Sure.
LSDs or municipalities and ask their IT people if it's okay to use it on the towns or the right belonging to the municipality, I guess.
Okay.
We'll go like, we'll use that as a gauge.
Okay.
I would suspect it's gonna be okay, because it's pretty well the same color here.
Okay, agenda item 4C2, Board Professional Development Plan 2023. A brief notice included in tonight's meeting package. Included in the brief note are the board's guidelines as well as a list of professional development opportunities for 2023. At the meeting, no recommendations were made, as committee members will take some time to review the materials tabled and hope to bring recommendations forward in February sometime. Are there any questions? Okay. Next agenda item is 4C3, Joint Councils Update. A brief notice included in tonight's meeting package. The next meeting of the Southern Shore Joint Council will take place on Thursday, February 2nd. Conception Bay North Joint Council will hold an election for the positions of chairperson and vice chairperson on Thursday, January 26th. The Northeast Avalon Joint Council continues to meet on the second Wednesday of each month. They recently decided to host a joint council summit this coming June, like the event was held in 2018. Their executive will meet on January 26th tomorrow to begin the planning of this event. The board's clerk and director for the Smith Sound area has been working to reconvene the Clarenville Smith Sound Area Joint Council. The board's clerk, chair, and CAO, along with elected officials in the area, will meet in Clarenville on January 31st to discuss reestablishing the joint council as well as providing information regarding the board and its services. Southwest Avalon and St. Mary's Bay area has expressed interest in reconvening their joint council, and the board's clerk will begin working with the director for the area to seek interest from the communities. Overall, the board's support for the joint council has been really positive. Any questions?
Rod, I understand you're chairing the election of the JCCBN Joint Council. Coming up.
That would be correct.
Much interest in the position?
Excuse me. Well, it's funny you say that, Mr. Chair, because I literally just made a note for our roundtable. Loved the idea of that summit. And I wish I could give more than 100% in approval because I just really, really appreciate the idea. Our own joint council's attendance seems to be slipping, and this is no doubt a result of virtual meetings as opposed to in person as a result of COVID as well. So I really look at the potential for a summit, and any information that may be able to come forward that we can share with joint councils would be a great idea to revigorate and stimulate some interest in future meetings.
Well, hopefully, I wish you well. Good luck in the elections.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your time on the committee. Corresponding board chair, there is none, I don't think, no. New business, this is joint council's report, board clerk. And seeing how I will be traveling on the 31st of January. God willing, we hope the meeting will go ahead and we'll give up participation. Look forward to meetings up with the winners and the ERSBs and I've got some mutually beneficial. I've been talking it up. You've been talking it up. Next, number 7, we'll do a roundtable. Your MMSB, I'll start with you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Anything you'd like to add on to any of our great discussions tonight?
Actually, yeah, it's a good segue there. So appreciate the opportunity to be here, board members and staff. I guess you know MSB more has beverage program, tires, our extended producer responsibility programs like used oil, paint, used paint and electronics. But just to follow on the conversation here tonight, the 2002 waste strategy also gave us responsibility for public education as it relates to waste management in the province. And you will see that through a number of activities. One, you'll see our Rethink Waste website, which we launched a number of years ago, which provides a public education for what should not be in blue bags, but also has links there for HHW as well. We just soft launched a new blue bag program, which is going to be formally announced in the near term. That provides a whole new suite of materials for communities, regional service boards, et cetera, to provide to households and institutions as well about what should not be in blue bags. Those materials are available for communities and for regional service boards to label themselves. So we're providing that to everybody. So you take our materials, label it, because the one good thing about recycling in Newfoundland and Labrador versus other jurisdictions that we have the same basket of goods in every community. So a blue bag, in Port Basque, and St. Anthony, and Paradise is all the same. Whereas if you go to other jurisdictions in the country, what is not in a blue bag is different. So we have that as well. So we are a resource. That's why I enjoy being here, because we are a resource to you. And that's why I want to be here. We're also participate in central and western board meetings as well. Some of you would know that we're following up on a request from the Minister of Environment and Climate Change on the packaging of printed paper policy, which basically is an EPR program for blue bag, which will take the burden from your taxpayers for blue bag and place it on the producers. So that's something that we've been consulting on for the past year. We're ready to have a conversation with the minister on where we are at the current stage, and then he'll make a decision whether we proceed on from there as well. But again, we're available to communities and regional service boards to provide additional information about that as required at any time. So if I were to leave a message of why I'm here, and but what we can do for you is that we're available to any community or any group who wants to learn more about recycling, and anybody who wants some assistance and help in public education, we're here for that as well. So I appreciate you using me as a resource while I'm here.
We'll be using you all the time, buddy. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I'll go to the screen. Rod, I'll take you next.
Well, speaking of really good segues for MMSB, there was a circulation a short while ago from MMSB about compost bins and a very good offer for the communities to take advantage of. If I remember correctly, it was an offer of about 40 bins at a set price, engage in interest. So we reached out to our community and the results were outstanding. They want more than 40 locally. So we said, well, why don't we reach out to the other communities, Brigus and South River, for example, and see if they want to go in on a bigger purchase. And I'm very happy to report that because of all this, there was a need for 80+ bins from the spurred on and initiated by the email from MMSB. So a good story for a change. That's my roundtable.
Thank you, sir. Come on. Ophelia,
Nothing.
not a thing. Ian?
No, nothing. This is the first meeting I've been at where there's been a roundtable, so I wasn't anticipating having to say something. So I'll if I have something in the future, I'll be prepared to share. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, right?
No, nothing for me.
Jamie?
Nothing for me. Thanks.
Christie?
Well, I guess as many of you know, I had the opportunity for my professional development in December. And the messages that I came away from with it were of gratitude. There was a large theme of gratitude provided. It was concentrating on leadership, so I certainly brought back some skills that I think are useful, and including some, I guess, words that I hope to incorporate into my workday. So there's a movement to calling waste a discarded material, to slough off the, I guess, negativity of waste, and to say it's a discarded material that may have a use, and we just got to find that use. So thank you.
Thank you. Sheila?
Yes, thank you. Well, I was very excited to hear from MMSB, the development about education, because that is the thing that excites me the most. Honestly, obviously, we're here to manage our waste, but you know, we have to grow the future and educate people. And I find that that is one of the most challenging areas. And of course, MMSB, we've seen that, you know, certainly pulling out some great things. I just wanted to mention that Holly Hogan she's a wildlife biologist, and she's publishing a book called Message in a Bottle, Ocean Dispatches from a Seabird Biologist, brings together nature, science, and adventure writing to shine a light on our plastic addicted lifestyle and offer a compelling eyewitness account of its devastating effects on the marine environment and human health, while also examining solutions for the future. It's a big book deal with Cook McDermott, and that's going to be coming out in the spring, and you can pre-order it. But I just think I'm always trying to find ways to find public opportunities to educate people. Obviously, that is the mandate now with MMSB. Just wondering how we can, as a board, not just defer, but also collaborate more, you know, in that regard. I've mentioned it before, you know, libraries, you know, we have the Newfoundland Labrador Public Libraries. I just feel like there are more opportunities to bring this to children and to other, you know, people who are not on deck yet in terms of waste management. And so I'm really looking forward to opportunities to actually do some more brainstorming on those kind of things. But I think libraries certainly play a role. Anyway, I just want to put that forward because education, that is the thing that excites me the most. So, yeah,
Well,
thank
again,
you.
when we invited Charles to come to these meetings again, when you said yes, so it's part of the collaboration, part of the move forward.
Yeah.
How we operate.
Yeah.
Involve other sectors so that we get a better understanding of our discarded materials.
Yeah.
Kevin?
Okay, I attended the Swanwick conference at the beginning of December. It was a really good conference. It was just huge. And I mean, there's so many things we talked about. It's just amazing to see all the different communities and all the provinces and states throughout North America that are really contributing to that solid waste collection. These boards are doing an amazing job, and this board is for sure. And there's a lot of challenges out there, but there's a lot of great results. So if anybody ever gets a chance to go to that seminar again or the conference, it's really well worth its while.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to give kudos to the staff in the office. They launched their social media campaign recently. They've been doing a great job with it. So I think keep that up, keep it going and keep getting your message out. I think it's going really well so far.
Thank you.
I think I agree with you. It'd be good if everybody here could share the hashtags and stuff with your own municipalities too, so that broader audience, so if we can do that, it'd be great too.
And we have a small community, but we send that copy out to every household and everybody's coming back with very positive results. They really are. And once a month, that's great.
So.
Just to acknowledge, MMSB and Charles, what you're talking about with the packaging, et cetera. And putting some responsibility back in the manufacturers, that's happened in other provinces already, hasn't it, Charles, I believe?
Absolutely, we are one of probably 3 who are not part of that program.
That's
And
it.
actually, we see the pricing is already built into the products you're already purchasing anyway.
Yeah, really. But when we get a cell phone sent to us, it's in a styrofoam and in a box and in a bag. If you order something off Amazon, it shows up your front step and you just, it's crazy. Packaging is the biggest contributor, one of the biggest contributors to the landfill and to, of course, recycling costs. So we approved that city. It was a great discussion and we were all very excited down the city talking about that. And CBC had me on for an interview last week. It was all I could do not to talk about it. Because she was asked about it. The board was thinking the same way. So well done.
Wes?
Yeah, just a couple of things. One is, I just want to comment on the meeting that we're going to hold Monday. I think it's very good. There's been Tuesday, sorry.
Long meeting.
I think it's good to try to get the council going again and talk to the LSDs and municipalities. We build some interest again. The other thing is that just to bring some people up to date, the ministers approved a feasibility study for 14 communities for LSDs in our area for feasibility study for municipality, for a town, I guess the technical term is, and that RFP closes on the 7th. There's quite an interest in that. That will, I think, provide both an opportunity for this for ERSB and also maybe a different look for those towns. So I'll keep them informed.
Well, I was also privileged, I guess, enough to attend SWANA in December with Christy, Councillor McDonald and our chair. And it was really interesting to hear how other jurisdictions are looking at waste. And as Christy indicated, they're looking at waste, they don't use garbage. It's a discarded material or it's a resource that we can use, sell, or utilize some other way, to be a benefit to our area. So that was fabulous. And I did come away with lots of great information from that. There was something I did read today, and I'll just throw it out there. I read an article today on recycling in Europe, because of course they're so much further ahead than we are. But it was really interesting that Spain has passed regulations that tobacco companies, manufacturers are now responsible to clean up cigarette butts in their public spaces. Isn't that fantastic? I don't know how many years it'll take us to get there. But I'm sure Charles can confirm, but the MMSB did a litter audit in 2016 in this province. I can't remember the exact millions of cigarette butts that were along our roadways, but I think the message from the MMSB at that time, the #1 litter item in this province and in the world generally are cigarette butts. Wow. So it's going to be something I think that you're going to see going forward, in that manufacturers are going to be, through these extended producer responsibility agreements, they're going to be tasked with taking a lot more responsibility for the product and where it ends up. It was just really interesting that. So public spaces in Spain now will be cleaned up to the tune of €1 billion annually by cigarette producers.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah. That's it, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing from me, thank you.
No, that's under the smooth.
Wait, but this will be, I haven't heard it yet. I haven't heard it, I only got one hearing aid. Just to, not really be on Rod's, I mentioned what we said, we do have a meeting tomorrow, let's move on. And, as Rod, I think we do, that, interest has dropped off, last while. And, hopefully that picks up, and to that end, I took the liberty earlier this week to send out a little message to all the members, how they helped me over there, to encourage members to, get involved again and participate. As over the years, explained our town council, and I'm sure most of the others, but it's had a major input into what happens in our area. Like, for example, we played a major part in the event Memorial Holiday built years ago. And then a few years ago, we stepped up again and we got the passing lanes installed and we were promised. We haven't got the promise yet, but it was to be the first highway in the country to have rumble strips in the center of the highway. That hasn't been done yet. And I guess the reasoning for that, I don't know what government has done with it or how much they researched or anything. But, we had an accident last week and I lost a relative of mine to that accident. And what happened was somebody crossed the center line. So that brings that back to my memory and that would be a little deterrent, if you wander, too close to the center way. So I'm going to be following up on that for our everything as well. We'll see if that's a possibility to get it done. So Rod, see you tomorrow night. Thanks.
Great idea. Thank you, Glenn. Carol? Eric?
Just two quick items, Paradise, we are about to start our Green Goal project, our Green Goal initiative, which is essentially focused on recycling, information and marketing, with a particular emphasis on young kids. About 25% of the population in Paradise is 19 years of age or less. So it's a particular age group that we'd love to be able to get some information to the hands of in terms of recycling. And of course, tomorrow we will be starting construction on the new lift station 10 in Paradise. It's a 2-year project. That's at least the estimate of what it's going to take is over 2 years. So that's the exhibit.
Bill, just a couple things. First off, I think this roundtable that we've had in a lot of our meetings are really proven. I think it's looking we're getting out of this meeting because I share this roundtable with our roundtable. So people don't know about Eastern Region Circle Court does. Right. So when I share that, I share the agenda of our board, so they know exactly. We can share what we're all doing. I think that's a good thing. But in Mount Pearl, you're all invited. Our Frosty Fest starts on February 8th. We have 60 events in 10 days, and drop by and see us. So, go. And then MSP, thank you very much for that.
Mayor?
Myself, I think one of the great things that we do is community garden. And we have those bins that we were talking about, those black bins, I think it was 5. We had 12 beds of potatoes, 1,000 pounds kale, chard, 2 greenhouses, just showing God, 6 and 8 peppers, 26 plants and tomatoes. Everybody harvested as they ripened. The end of the year was nothing that everything is in the recycling. But we also have 3 loads, 10 loads of triple mix. And that triple mix is also taking waste, the crab shell, and mostly they like to use an apple, and they're making it into this mix for us for growing. So I think the government right now is funding and they're encouraging people to grow their own colors. Now, we had a very successful year last year. I grow all the seedlings because I love gardening. So I think it's something that does help in a little way. They set to what is in the garden.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Greg?
I don't have much, I can't report, but that's why, so I was here. January's January is usually pretty busy for us because of the, all our invoices go out in the early part of January. But myself and I are pleased to hear from our billing specialist that there's been a substantial uptick this year in people calling in and making payments or making online payments, and it's people are paying. And we haven't had to chase it off. So they're pleasantly surprised. Well, I guess we'll have a further report next month. The results, but the people in the office are really surprised how many people are calling in there.
Well, that leaves last but not least me. The only piece of business I'm going to put on the table now, and I'm trying to refer back to the strategy and policy committee is clear bag use, going mandated clear bag. So put it back on that. I'd like to put that back on that committee.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have an implementation date of maybe January 1st of 2024. Give everybody enough time to do it. Everybody's okay with that. But I think we got to know Mayor Breen and the city of St. John's folks can attest to the uptake in recycling. Sandy, I think you were actually, I don't know if you have the numbers in there, but
There's 500 tons extra pretty well immediately.
Yeah.
Of recyclables, and of course, that's light stuff. So it was huge.
yeah. So I know it's huge numbers. You don't want people anywhere else. Charles?
I'm sorry to interject, I don't want to be speaking too much of your meetings, but I will add one thing. It's important to remember, we've seen clear bag in central and in western, we've been auditing those and then beyond city of St. John's and others as well. Clear bag is great, blue bag is great, but if you don't have enforcement and public education at the same time, your rates are going to fall off next year, the year after. It's all about continual poke.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly appreciate the donation of your material to our cause. And we look forward to you donating more. We launch in hopefully January 1st of 2024 on our clear bag. And we keep working towards mandated recycling as well.
Steve,
Yes,
if we're going to the clear bag,
yes,
we need to make sure that everybody's recycling.
yes.
Which is, if we're gonna go to clear bag without the mandatory, without the recycling, and we're not. So we have to make sure that the province is helping us enforce the waste management program, because we don't have all various recycling. So.
You can't use them.
No, that's right.
Like, so how are we tying both together?
Great commentary, because we actually had a conversation with the minister on that, about mandatory recycling, and we put back on the minister to say, this needs to be mandated. I think if there's enough pressure between the regional services board, so that, I'm gonna say the three bigger ones and some of the smaller ones, the MMSP, we all stay on that same page and support the mandatory recycling. I think at some point they're gonna have to listen, and they're gonna have to, you know, I think all these steps that you, St. John's have taken, and I think most of the other bigger municipalities are doing it now, so if we all keep pushing that, eventually at some point in time, the Minister of Environment or is going to have to sit down and take it serious. So, you know, I know Charles and MSP have been knocking on that door for a while. You know, I've had this conversation. I know that conversations happen with regional service boards. I know the conversations happen with the minister and but anyway, you're right. But again, these steps will help us. I think at some point in time, it's the way to go. I think we need to push it. And again, if you give the people enough time to get rid of their green garbage bags, you know, it's only a matter of time until we got to buy them anyway. So I think give them a year's notice. Hopefully it'll spur them on. Upcoming meetings, are there in your package? What can be able to attend? And if not, we'll have to get you on Zoom or Owl. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. All right. Well, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening. Safe travel home, whoever travel.
Yes.
See you all. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Good night, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Hold on.